Okay, let's jump right in. The material for this explainer makes a huge promise. Not that it might change your life, but that it will. So let's break down exactly how. So where does all this come from? Well, it's from someone who had this crazy transformation. They went from getting, 100 views on their videos to having every single one go viral. It completely changed their life and their career. That's the power of the system they came up with, and it's the one we're going to unpack right now. So the question is pretty simple. If you feel like this year just hasn't gone the way you planned, think of this as your last real shot to turn it all around. A final opportunity to build some serious momentum. Let's see how it works, starting with the foundation. Okay, phase one. Now, this isn't about attacking your goals head on. Nope. It's actually about defense. It's about building a fortress around the one resource you can never, ever get back. The one thing that fuels everything you do. Look, we all talk about time being our most valuable asset, right? But the argument here is that it's actually our energy, our life force, that's even more precious. If your energy is scattered across a million different things, you can't focus it on anything important. The goal is to gather all that energy up so you can aim it like a laser at the one or two things that will actually change your life. So what's the big bad guy in the story? It's FOMO, fear of missing out. It's that little voice in your head, that anxious feeling that tells you if you turn off your phone or say no to something, you're gonna miss out on something huge. But here's the thing. It's a trick. It's literally a mind game your brain plays on you to get easy dopamine hits so you can avoid the hard, meaningful work. And just look at this slide. It lays out the battle perfectly, doesn't it? On the left, you've got all the junk food for your brain, the notifications, the endless scrolling. And on the right, the real priorities, the stuff that actually builds the life you say you want. Every single minute you give to that left column is the minute you've stolen from the right one. So what's the move? The advice here is brutally simple. You have to give yourself permission to be selfish with your time. Disconnect, delete the noise. I promise you, the world of memes and internet drama isn't going anywhere. It'll all be there when you get back. What you stand to gain by focusing is so much more valuable than anything you might miss. All right, so you've built your fortress. Now what? Well, that brings us to phase two. It's time to figure out who you're actually building this fortress for. This is where we get strategic. First question, and it's a tough one. Which version of yourself do you need to destroy? You just can't build something amazing on a broken foundation. This means taking a really honest look at the habits, the mindset, and maybe even the people that are holding you back. What parts of you have to go? Okay, so once you've torn down the old stuff, you've got this clean slate. Now you get to play architect. Who do you want to build? What skills will you have in a few months? What will your body feel like? How much progress will you have made? You have to be super, super specific here. But why all the detail? Why can't you just want to be better? Because your brain, it's like a computer. It needs clear instructions. Saying, I want to get in shape, is just a vague wish your brain can totally ignore. But saying, I will lose 10 pounds by running 3 times a week, now that is a command. Vague goals just get you vague results. And you know what? The science on this is crystal clear. Check out the study from 2015. People who actually wrote down their goals had a 70% success rate. The ones who just kept them in their head, only 35%. It's literally double the success rate. Just the simple act of writing it down turns a wish into a plan and tells your brain, hey, this is important. Start looking for ways to make it happen. All right, let's talk about the next phase, because honestly, this is the part that trips almost everyone up. You can have the perfect plan, you can have zero distractions, but without the right mindset to push through the tough stuff, well, it all just falls apart. I'm going to give you a dose of harsh reality here, straight from the source. Nobody is going to give you a trophy for trying hard. The world doesn't applaud your effort while you're in the middle of the grind. All the celebration, the respect, the stories about your inspiring journey, that stuff only comes after you succeed. And that time, that long, lonely stretch of work, is called the boring middle. It's where you're putting in all the hours, but you're not seeing any results. You're getting no praise. You feel zero motivation. This right here is the great filter. The slide says 95% of people quit here. Pushing through this is what separates the top 5% from literally everyone else. So how in the world do you survive that boring middle? Well, you don't use willpower, you use tools. Here's the first one, a powerful system. The whole idea is to stop relying on motivation, because that comes and goes, and start relying on a system that runs every single day. Break your huge goals into tiny little steps. Block out time in your calendar for focused work, and every morning know the one single task that matters most.
And tool number 2 is something you can easily remember, the 4C formula. It starts with control, getting a grip on your mind and your focus. Then comes commitment. You build trust with yourself by doing what you say you're going to do. From there, you challenge yourself, always pushing your limits just a little bit. And all of that leads to real confidence. Not the fake kind, but the deep down confidence that's earned through hard work. So we've got the fortress, we've got the new design for yourself, and we've got the mindset. But all of that is totally useless without this one last thing. It all comes down to a simple decision. Look, let's not sugarcoat this. This is going to be hard. It's going to be boring sometimes. You will have to make sacrifices. You might have to cut some things, maybe even some people, out of your life for a while. Knowing that difficulty is coming is the only way to prepare for it. But here's the secret. That's the whole point. The boring, hard part is the transformation. The real reward isn't just hitting your goal. It's becoming the kind of person who is capable of hitting that goal. You come out the other side a completely different person, someone who just isn't interested in mediocrity anymore. And the best part? You don't have to sign up for a lifetime of this today. The ask is tiny. Just try it for 1 week. That's it. Build a little bit of momentum, because once you're in motion, you tend to stay in motion. The first week is always the hardest part.
So we're at the end, and it all boils down to one simple question for you right now. After hearing all of this, the plan, the promise, and the path, when does your commitment begin? The answer to that question changes everything.